Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Knows.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Going back 80 years to World War II, the very start, June 22nd, 1942, Mandel-Kramer, Don-MacLachlan in Counterspy in the case of the Border Invaders. And we thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday, and you know what that means. This is the 22nd day of June, 173rd day of the year, 192 days remaining. Napoleon invaded Russia on this date in 1812. Justice Department created on this date in 1870. Dr. Andrew Still became the first to practice osteopathy in 1874. U.S. Marines landed in Cuba in the Spanish-American War on this date in 1898. And in 1938, Joe Louis became a national hero by defeating German boxer Max Schmeling in one round.
Right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmeling is down. The count is 5, 6, 7, 8. The men are in the ring. The fight is over on a technical knockout. Max Schmeling is beaten in one round.
Iconic radio announcer Clem McCarthy with the call. Schmeling had defeated Louis in 1936. That led to demonstrations of Aryan superiority in Germany. President Roosevelt signed the GI Bill of Rights in 1994. It was on this date in 1969, Judy Garland passed away.
You can imagine being anything else but an actress. What do you think you might have wanted to be?
Happily married. And just a nice lady.
Do you think it's possible to be an actress and be happily married?
Well, I don't think anybody who married me thought so, but I think it's possible. I don't see any reason, but I think it's probably a little difficult. It seems that every man I've ever met, they sort of... well, they know that I'm Judy Garland when they start to go with me, and then the minute they sort of get entangled with me, they say, you know how difficult it is to be... well, why didn't they think of that before they, took me out the first time? I don't know. I don't think I'm that difficult to you. It doesn't seem... It hasn't been too rough on...
A 1967 interview with Judy Garland by Barbara Walters 2 years before Garland passed. President Nixon and Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev agreed to negotiate a treaty on this date in 1973, limiting nuclear weapons. At a dinner celebrating the agreement, the president made a toast.
We drink to your health, having in mind what you have said and what I have tried to reaffirm. The desire of the two strongest nations in the world, through their top leaders, to work together for peace rather than for continued confrontation, which could lead to destruction.
The public demeanor of both the president and Brezhnev was lighthearted, sometimes almost playful. Fred Astaire died on this date in 1987, and in 1990, Checkpoint Charlie dismantled in Berlin as the Cold War brought down the Iron Curtain and the big wall in Berlin. Passing away on this date in history, producer David O. Selznick, Dennis Day, First Lady Pat Nixon, who was born right here in Ely, Nevada in 1912, comedian George Carlin, and from Mary Hartman, Dodie Goodman. This is the birth date of director Billy Wilder, actor Paul Frees, journalist Ed Bradley from CBS 60 Minutes, Pistol Pete Maravich, John Tenta, Earthquake with the WWE, Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley, David Lander, and actor-comedian Freddie Prinze.
The day has finally come when a man of your age asks a kid of my age for advice. I tell you what you do. You go over the doors and you say, Doris?
Yeah?
There's something I must tell you.
Yeah.
And she'll say, yes, Ed, what is it? And you'll reply, my dear, we are merely two ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
And she'll say, well, Ed, dear, couldn't we dock someplace for a while? And then you say, that can never be, for you belong to another. And then she'll start crying. And ask you for a handkerchief. Yeah. Come on, give me a handkerchief. And she'll dry her eyes and ask you if she can keep the handkerchief as a remembrance of you. Yeah. But you'll have to say, no, it's the only one I've got.
Better keep the handkerchief.
No, you never give your handkerchief to a married woman. That's why Othello choked Desdemona over a handkerchief.
Really? Is that how she died? I always thought she fell off a Ferris wheel.
I'm sure Freddie Prinze Sr. would be very proud of what his son Freddie Prinze Jr. has done. A clip from Chico and the Man with Jack Alberts and Freddie Prinze, born on this date 2 years before I was. He died so young, 1977. Chris Christopherson, 86 today. Former ABC anchor Brit Hume, 79. Deodato did so much amazing music back in the 80s. He is 80 today. The Todd Rundgren, Hello, It's Me, 74 years of age. Meryl Streep is 73. The Bionic Woman, Lindsay Wagner, 73. And Alan Osmond, the oldest singing member of the Osmond family, 73. Cyndi Lauper, still wants to have fun at 69. TV personality Carson Daly, 49. From Scrubs, Donald Faison is 48. And the overly attached girlfriend on YouTube, Lena Morris, is 31 years old. Those some of the people who celebrate the 22nd day of June as their birthday. If this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
From 80 years ago, June 22nd, 1942, mandel-Kramer, don-maclaughlin in Counterspy in the case of the Border Invaders on this Wednesday. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medi-Share for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medi-Share's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medi-Share is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it. Find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Counterspy started out on what would become ABC, then the Blue Network of NBC. And here you're hearing an off-the-air air check, apparently, which is why it is kind of noisy, from WEAF in New York. June 22nd, 1942, 80 years ago, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And it starts with a station break.
10 p.m. BULOVA, Boulevard watch time. Then, here's exceptional value. A handsomely streamlined Boulevard Alden, 15 joules, extremely dependable. Only $24.75. WEAF, New York.
Washington, calling Counterspy. Washington, calling Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington. Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
The Blue Network presents Phillips H. Lord, Counterspy. Counterspy is dedicated to all government undercover men. That invisible army which protects our men on the fighting front in our industries and secrets on the home front. Imagine chief counterspy of them all as David Harding. One of the methods enemy spies have been using recently to enter the country is to try and fly over our borders at night and drop by parachute in some wild section of a border state. In old Mexico, way back in the sandy hills, is a ranch on which is a modern airplane. The ranch is about 90 miles south of Juarez and is well hidden in the hills. Tonight, a Gestapo agent has arrived at the Mexican ranch from where he'll be flown over the border and dropped into Texas. The airplane has been pushed out and is about to take off from the ranch.
You are ready to take off for the Texas border, Herr Burger.
Take the suitcase. Put it in the cockpit.
Senor Burger!
Yeah?
Senor Burger!
Yeah, what is it, Herr?
Do not go yet.
Why not?
A very unusual thing has just happened, senor.
Yeah.
No one ever comes this far from the main road, but at the ranch house has just arrived Councilor Carlos Costello.
Costello?
He is taking a long trip by horseback for his health, si, senor.
Make him leave. We do not want this place discovered.
Oh, but I have a very interesting thought.
So?
Suppose I tell him you are wealthy Americans down here with your plane. You are going to take a little ride under the moon in the sky. I invite him to go with you.
Yeah?
When you cross the border, you will fly very low. It will be very unfortunate, but his feet and hands will be tied very tight. The door of the airplane will open. He will fall out. He will be killed. You will find him with his hands and feet tied and dead on American soil.
Aha. I see.
There will be quite a strain between the Mexican and the United States governments. A prominent government official murdered on American soil.
Yeah, hello. It is a good thought. When they picked you to run this ranch, they picked the right man.
You like my little idea, huh?
The Gestapo shall hear about this. You shall be rewarded.
Please, not by medals. I prefer my reward in money.
Go, hello. Invite the official to join us. Then we will see what happens. We are so glad you could take this little flight with us, Counselor.
Ah, so beautiful. I was never in an airplane at night. With the moon. It is so romantic.
You are aware, Counselor, we have crossed the border between Mexico and the United States?
No. Is it not against the law?
Oh, I am sure no one will object, but we have such a distinguished gentleman of the Mexican government.
What is the meaning of this?
Give me the help, Burger.
Yes, son.
Tie his feet while I tie his hands.
Jawohl.
Who are you? The Gestapo, if you would like to know. Why are you kidnapping me?
They are going to open the door of the plane, and you are going to fall out.
No, you cannot.
You will be found on American soil, and a very delicate international situation should result.
You are a fool. All my bones will be broken. They will know I was thrown from an airplane.
The Gestapo is not so stupid. We will fly very low, so you will not be killed. But your body will not be mangled either. Drop as low as you can. Soon, Mexico, like the United States, will belong to Germany. And you will be glad that you are dead. You beat! Laugh! Now, Counselor, I shall open the door, and we will make ready for your big experience.
Dios omnipotente, guarda mi. Librarme, Dios, this hombres.
What are you doing? Praying? You fool.
I cannot fight. I'm tired. Therefore, I must pray.
Pray? To whom? Fool. Superstition.
Jesus Santísimo, guardad mi alma. En ti es mi salvación.
I will not hear such dribble. There are no enough hands. Here, why you have a crayon in your hands? Give me that.
Please, senor. Give me a chance to leave.
Now I shall push you through the door. Scream. Holla, go on. He falls. So, here's it. Put the plane back on the course.
Hello.
Proceed.
This is Harding speaking. I'm in the testing laboratory of the Walker Optical Company. In an hour, I shall take a plane for Washington. Set up my appointment for me at 3 o'clock with Colonel Marvin. Tell him urgent. Emergency.
Yes, sir.
You wish me to continue, Mr. Harding?
Yes, Mr. Walker. And this is a grave emergency. Now, those light bulbs you have lined up over there, are they lit now?
Yes. But naturally, as they are high-frequency lights, you cannot see them with your naked eye.
Oh, I see.
You cannot see the light, Mr. Harding, unless you are wearing this green hypie lens in your glasses. This is a 5-tray one.
Oh.
Now, look through it.
All right. Yes. Yes, I can see the left light's burning, but I can't tell whether the one on the right is burning or not.
Well, you would need another specially colored lens to see that one.
Oh.
In other words, Mr. Harding, these high-frequency lights can be burning, but you cannot see them unless you are wearing specially prepared lenses.
Well, Mr. Walker, as I explained to you, this is a case of great emergency. It involves an international incident with Mexico.
I see.
How soon could you make me 12 pairs of each of these two different lenses?
Why, I believe by 8 in the morning, Mr. Harding.
Good. I'll have a Navy plane waiting off Pier 3 and a government car here to deliver them to the plane at 8 sharp in the morning. Right now, I'm going to fly to Washington.
What can I do for you, Mr. Harding?
Colonel Marvin, we've known for some time that certain Gestapo agents have been getting into this country by flying over the border from a ranch in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're landing in a deserted section of Texas, where they usually stay for several days before leaving for different parts of the United States.
In other words, you've allowed them to enter this way because you know how they're entering. And that's better than stopping this route and forcing them to find some other method, which may take you months to discover. Is that it?
Exactly, Colonel.
Harding, you know we'll do anything possible to help you.
Now, Colonel, tomorrow night I'd like to have about 8 Army planes from Field A-46 fly all over the state of Texas and into Louisiana. Now, I'll be at field headquarters in Texas with a map to get their reports.
What information are you looking for, Harding?
Now, one house, which we recently raided, had up the chimney a high-frequency light. Now, that light can't be seen at night when you're flying over the house unless you have a certain colored lens in your glasses. I feel sure that there are a certain few houses for, let's say, 200 miles in Texas, which have these lights hidden up the chimney.
I see.
Now, the pilot who's flying these foreign agents in wears these special colored glasses. He can see these high-frequency lights placed in the chimneys, and these help keep him on his course.
And you want to locate every house which has such a light, huh?
Yes, and it's vital.
I'll have a plane ready to leave in 2 hours, Harding, and I'll fly down with you to see that you have everything you need.
Thank you, sir. Now, Colonel, if we can have the houses which have these invisible lights spotted from the air, we'll know the exact route the plane's flying, which brings in these spies, right to the ranch where they land and stay for a few days. When that time comes, we'll be able to make a mass raid.
I see, yes. But, Harding, what are we doing about that prominent Mexican official found tied and murdered on American soil? That's a very embarrassing situation.
Well, Colonel, there's something about that murder that I can't tell as yet. I want to check certain additional facts before I speak.
All right, Harding. You're doing a wonderful job, and I'll see that 8 Army planes will be flying over the designated section of Texas tomorrow night.
Thank you, sir.
Just look at this chart, Mr. Harding. That last report mentioned this house. Southwest, square 411.
Let me have that other chart, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, notice how this route's beginning to shape up.
42P calling. 42P calling 4X.
Come in.
I'm flying over Sandville. Check your chart. Chart square TS4. Chart square TS4.
Here's the square he's talking about, Kelly, this square.
Northeast beam. Intersection. Main highway. 2 miles from corner. Can you locate on your chart?
Yes. This house right here. 42P. We have located it.
42P signing off.
I've got that marked. Your signal light's on, Kelly, the upper frequency. Yes, sir.
42R calling. 42R calling.
Come in, 42R. Come in, 42R.
Chart square 6 CS6. Northeast corner. Intersection. Military highway. South in course of road.
I've got that one, too. It's right here.
Cross check with field light. Southeast. Due west. That's all. 42R signing off.
Kelly, these houses being spotted are on a perfectly straight line from the border right to the ranch we've been suspecting. Now, tomorrow night, we'll fly this route, check all of the houses we're marking, and go right to their landing field. Now bring a short wave set along with you in your suitcase.
We've seen every light the pilots reported last night, Mr. Harding.
As we should spot that ranch and their landing field most any minute.
Yes, sir.
Kelly, I'm going to tell you something that nobody else knows.
It sounds plenty serious, Mr. Harding.
You know that high Mexican official found murdered on American soil?
Yes, sir.
Well, he was murdered by members of this spy ring we're after right now.
You mean they got him in Mexico, flew him over the border, and dropped him from a plane?
Yes. But that isn't all. It wasn't the body of a high Mexican official.
But his papers. He was identified.
I did the identifying.
Oh. And who was it?
It was one of our own counterspies, Kelly. Tado Zales.
Tado? Murder?
Yes. I was working with the Mexican authorities. We suspected this Mexican ranch, so the Mexican counselor was taken into our confidence. He went into hiding for a few days. And Tado, posing as a counselor, visited the ranch. Well, he was evidently surprised by them and dropped out of a plane.
Good Lord. But how do you know he was dropped from a plane, Mr. Harding?
The old trick. In the scuffle, he got a pencil from his vest and hid it in the palm of his hand.
80 years ago, June 22nd, 1942, Counterspy on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 80 years ago comes up next.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite station. Counterspy this hour, as it was originally broadcast Monday, June 22nd, 1942. In the newspapers of that Monday 80 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Tobruk, valiant symbol of stubborn British defense in Libya, has fallen suddenly with 25,000 prisoners to overpowering Axis forces in the greatest British defeat since Singapore, and the Germans are striking toward Egypt and Suez, while in Russia the Nazis have driven new wedges into the battered fortifications of Sevastopol, although at the tremendous sacrifice of approximately 100,000 soldiers. The fall of Tobruk was confirmed officially in London after earlier broadcast of Axis capture claims. Admittedly superior and better equipped Axis forces had taken only 2 days to accomplish what they previously had not been able to do in 8 months. The sadly depleted and badly beaten British 8th Army remnants stood near the Egyptian border. Behind them, some 300 miles, lay the great naval base of Alexandria, key to Allied power in the Mediterranean, and the canal itself, 440 miles from the frontier. Unless the British forces are reinforced swiftly in men and material, the grave defeat may become disaster. Beyond Suez lay the Middle East oil riches and the vital Persian Gulf supply line to hard-pressed Russia. The Justice Department's new war frauds unit hits its stride this week with the convening of grand juries in 5 widely separated cities for investigations of alleged frauds upon the government in connection with the war program. Functioning jointly under the department's antitrust and criminal divisions, the unit was organized in February, but until last week it confined its efforts to laying the groundwork for prosecutions. Washington officialdom eagerly awaited a statement of results of the momentous conference between President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill somewhere in the United States. What the two leaders of the United Nations have decided upon as major strategies in the war continued to be the chief subjects of speculations. An enemy submarine, presumably Japanese, shelled the Canadian government radio station at remote, sparsely populated Estevan Point on the west coast of Vancouver Island for about half an hour Saturday night, but failed to hit the building. It was the first attack on Canadian soil since the war began. California partly solved its strawberry crisis caused by the fact that nearly 100% of the pickers were Japanese, now in reception centers. The berries were sold to the public on the vine. 5 to 6 cents a box, and you pick 'em. And when Mrs. Millie Muller of Waukesha, Wisconsin, who decorates Chinaware as a hobby, finds the label Made in Japan on a dish, she paints it out and etches Remember Pearl Harbor in its place. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Monday, June 22nd, 1942, on your radio Counterspy, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
While his hands were tied together, he was able to write on the palm of one hand the word air.
There's the land and field, Mr. Harding.
Yes, there's the large ranch house, the 2 barns.
It's barren, all right. Take off. Murder.
We'll land, and I'll have the pilot take off immediately. Oh, Lieutenant, land as far from the house as you can. And we'll hide the suitcase with a short wave set out in the field. Perhaps they won't hear us land. We can get to the house before they know we're here.
What do you want? Who are you?
BR2. We want to stay a couple of days. My name's Mr. David. This is Mr. Kelly.
Where did you come from?
Hacienda Pedro, over the border. We've been traveling a long time. We want to rest a day and then go on.
Yes. I have a room for you. You can have food here, too.
Yeah. Are you empty now, or do you have any more guests?
We have an Italian and a Japanese. I did not want to take him in, but we are under orders.
And your husband?
He is out in the barn. You will meet him when he comes in.
Is the Japanese of the Black Dragons?
Yes.
And the Italian of the Obra?
Yes.
Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler.
Now, I ask, for one must be most careful in our work, do you expect any more guests tonight?
Not for several days. You wish to go up to your room now?
Just to clean up. Then I think I'll take a walk around and get a look at things.
After you have washed, you will find my husband in the barn. You will again identify yourself to him.
Calling 42B. Calling 42B. Calling 42B.
Come in.
Calling from field at location specified. Locate for me immediately. German couple, about 60. Want couple opposed to Nazi rule. Check my file numbers for names of couples already examined. Fly this couple to our present location. 11:30 tomorrow night. Check.
Report sufficient. 42B
Hello. All right, Kelly. Close the case. Slip under the bushes again.
Yes, sir. That Nazi woman in there was a brutal-looking character.
Now, let's get right back to the house. I don't want them to notice that we've been gone too long.
What did you think of her husband?
I'll answer that a little later. If I'm not mistaken, I've got a complete report on him in Washington.
A fanatic, isn't he?
Aren't they all? Would they be Nazis if they weren't?
Well, if you weren't in on the inside of things, though, you could stop at the ranch and not guess anything was wrong.
Oh, yes, they're clever.
What was that?
Quick, get back to the house. What's the matter? What's going on?
Where is everybody?
I heard footsteps upstairs. Let's get up there. Where are you?
What do you want?
Oh.
I was in my room at the other end of the house. I heard a scream from this room. I come running.
This Italian and I got here just at the same time.
I was at the other end of the house, in my room.
You'd better fix your collar. Looks like someone had grabbed it and torn the button off.
Here comes my husband. He will be very angry.
Where were you, may I ask, when this happened? And the other gentleman?
We were walking toward the house. We heard the scream. We ran in here as quickly as possible.
A very pleasant alibi.
What has happened? Why did one of you scream like that? Why are you all standing there looking at... Oh, I see.
He was evidently stabbed in the back while he was sleeping.
I'm not angry because the Japanese is killed. I hate them. But he should have been killed somewhere else. Who did it?
None of us seems to know.
Did you?
I was at the other end of the house, in my room.
And you?
I would not have done it inside the house, you know that.
You too?
No. Oh, we were outside, walking toward the house.
You left me 20 minutes ago. Where have you been since? Why did you not come right back to the house?
Because we were all cramped up from traveling. We wanted to stretch our legs, take a little walk.
So. There are so many ways it could have been done to leave no telltale. The river out of a plane.
Yes, like possibly you would do with a Mexican.
Why do you say that?
Hello told me of it. The Hacienda Pedro in Mexico. They all thought it very clever.
That man Herlo talks too much. Here, let me get him up on my shoulder. I will take him out and bury him in the field.
Gladly.
There. Come with me. We will bury him to leave no traces.
I will go with you and hold a lantern. Do you two wish to come?
Not interested, thank you. Kelly, will you do me one favor?
What, sir?
Kick me just as hard as you can.
Well, why?
Well, the minute I saw that Jap had been murdered, by habit and instinct, I started to ask questions. I knew the Italian had killed him. And all I'd have had to do was ask about 3 more pointed questions, and there'd have been plenty of trouble.
Come to think of it, you're right. You didn't think the woman killed the Jap spy?
I think they were all in on it. It was planned before we got here.
But that teaser you put out, Mr. Harding, you got results, didn't you?
Yes, he fell for it. He's the one who thought Zollis was a Mexican official and threw him out of the plane.
What's our next move?
Just sit tight until the Army plane arrives at 11:30 tomorrow night.
And the conclusion of Counterspy from 80 years ago, June 22nd, 1942, follows these words on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Thursday's Classic Radio Theater, an episode of Johnny Madero, Pier 23, starring Jack Webb, his first big national break over Mutual, as I recall, from 75 years ago, June 23rd, 1943, the episode entitled The Man Who Chased Himself. But right now, the conclusion of Counterspy, starring Mandel-Kramer and Don McLaughlin, 80 years ago today, June 22nd, 1942.
Mr. Harding, that's the Army plane, all right. Take these glasses. It's signaling with the invisible light. Just to the right of the moon, see?
Yeah, good. Good. Now we've got to work fast while the plane's landing. The German couple and the Italian are in the sitting room. Let's go in.
And you will leave?
I will be leaving in the morning.
I have already American money, which I will supply with.
If you two gentlemen don't mind my intruding, and if it's all right with you, madam, I'm going to have to ask you all to get your hands up. Don't move. We both have you covered. You won't have to do much persuading for me to put a bullet right through you.
Signor, vi prego. Per carità, io non sono nemico. Per l'amore di Dio.
You whimpering fool.
We don't operate like your Gestapo, Burger. We give them a chance according to our laws.
Why do you call me Burger? That is not my name.
It's the name I have you listed by in Washington. You forget your activities in the Boone before the war broke out. And incidentally, the Mexican government official you threw from the plane wasn't the Mexican counselor.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He was an American counterspy, one of my assistants, posing as a counselor. I'll promise you, Burger, you're going to pay for that, and pay plenty.
Signor, I'll give you money. I'll tell you all I know.
Enough of that. An Army plane's just landed outside. Now march out that door to the plane. And keep your hands up.
Mr. Harding, that's a sweet old couple the plane brought down.
Yeah. Motherly looking soul, isn't she?
You wouldn't think that this couple who just arrived and the other couple who we took out to the plane were both German.
Well, there are some Germans who are not Nazis. Well, I'll let them finish looking around the house. And we'll leave in the Army plane with those others we're taking with us.
Well, I believe we have seen it all, Mr. Harding.
It is quite a place.
Now, do you two feel that you can live here and pretend to be Nazis? And run this place for the spies who come over?
Yeah, Mama is a great actress when she needs to be.
And so is Papa. I will run the house, and he will look after the outside and the little radio station to send you the information.
Good. Now, as soon as the spy arrives, we shall want his complete description. Something that he's touched so we can get his fingerprints. Knowledge of where he's going, and any information about what he has in his bag.
We shall see you have it all, eh, Papa?
We shall do everything. We shall give our lives to see the Nazis crushed and wiped off the face of this earth.
You two must have had a terrible experience from the report.
We lived just outside of Hamburg. We were happy. And our two boys had graduated and were the ministers of the German Lutheran Church. It was in the middle of the night.
Papa.
The Gestapo broke in the front door and dragged our two boys out of bed. Then they came and got Mama and me.
You forgot.
They beat our boys because they were ministers of the church. They dragged them outside.
They tied our boys to the fence. They made us watch.
The Gestapo stepped back and took aim and shot them. Our youngest boy, Hans. He did not die. So the leader of the Gestapo put a pistol to his head, spit at him, and fired. The leader of the Gestapo tore off the crucifix that Hans wore around his neck. He threw it on the ground, stepped on it. Then he raised his arm in the Nazi salute and said, Heil Hitler, the Führer will rule the world. We left Germany, Mama and me. It took us 4 months to escape across the border, but we did it. Now we are in this country. God bless it.
Then you know what it means to have the Nazis rule. Wait, I hear footsteps. Somebody's coming. Careful now, there may be trouble.
Yeah? Come in.
I am a traveler, X4 from Mexico, from the Hacienda Pedro.
You have arrived at the right place, X4.
Good. Our plane was forced down. I have had to come the last 100 miles by motorcycle. Hi, Hitler. The Führer will rule the world.
The Führer will rule the world. I remember. I shall show you to your room.
Who are these men?
We don't ask questions like that around here.
Yes, you are right. Take my bag.
Yeah. Mama, bring a light from the mantel. We will show this gentleman to his room.
Yeah, Papa.
This way, please.
I don't think, Kelly, that we're needed here anymore.
No.
Let's go to the plane.
Look how bright the stars are tonight, Mr. Harding.
Yes, Kelly. Well, they're one of the things in this world that are permanent. Permanent like the faith of Christian people. Well, at the time of the Crusaders, barbarians tried to crush faith from the face of the earth. But the Christians rose up and pushed those hordes right back into the sea. Well, the great Christian army has risen again, and Nazism will be wiped from the face of the earth.
Spread a great army of counterspies, men whose names may never be known or their deeds ever revealed. But 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, these counterspies are the guardians of our home front. Counterspy will not be heard next week, June 29th. Starting Monday night, July 6th, Counterspy, a Philip H. Lord production, will be presented at a much more convenient time. 8 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime, 7 to 7:30 p.m. Central Time, 6 to 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 to 5:30 p.m. in the Pacific Time Zone. Tell your friends. Invite them to listen to these exciting dramatized cases. Make it a date for Monday, July 6th at the new hour. The 10% Club, whose membership is composed of all patriotic Americans who are voluntarily putting 10% of their incomes regularly into war bonds and stamps. Here's all you have to do to become a member. Arrange to buy war bonds on a regular basis to the extent of 10% or more of your present income. Or authorize your employer to deduct 10% or more from your regular salary or wage check. Your government is making special efforts to have everyone a member of the 10% Club. Join today. Counterspy originated in New York.
That was just the 8th episode of Counterspy. Counterspy would run into the mid-1950s, fighting different criminals along the way once the war was won. Alrighty, from June 22nd, 1942, 80 years ago today, Counterspy. Thank you so much for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Would you do me a favor and thank this station and support their advertisers? It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around. Also, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. Our shows are available through iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon, just by searching Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And, of course, our webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, find our contact information, find our social media links, and you can also buy me a coffee if you want to. Of course, I don't drink coffee, but we'll plow that money back into finding more great radio shows for you. Thanks for joining us. Have a great Wednesday. Tell your friends that great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.